Hello friends, welcome to all. This is Chandu. Welcome to our channel Civils Aspirant. In our last video, in the part 1 session, we are discussing about historical background of Indian Constitution under the part of Constitution and the political institutions of India. At the video, we are discussing mainly constitutional development points are there, Regulating Act of 1773, Fits in the Act of 1784, and also some important provisions are regarding as constitutional development point of view. In this video, we have mainly discussed about Charter Act of 1833 and 1813 and the Charter of 1853, and also Government of Indian Act of Government of India Act of 1580 1858 and Indian Council Act of 61, 62, 92, 1909. Nothing but Minto Morley Reform Minto Morley Act of they also called this Act 1909. Why they're late? Let's start our video. Firstly, are discussing about Charter of Act of 1813. The company's monopoly over India trade terminated. The trade with India was open to all British subjects, but trade in tea and trade with China remained exclusive to the company, and both administrative revenues of the Indian country to be in the hands. And Charter of 1833, the main provisions are there. The Governor General of Bengal became the Governor General of India. The first Governor General of India was Lord William Bentinck. Is very important point. Lord William Bentinck was the first Governor General. This was the first final step towards centralization in the British India. Beginning of the Central Legislature of India was the act also took always legislative powers of Bombay and Madras provisions. The act ended the activities of the East India Company as a commercial body, and it became a pure administrative body. Next one is the Charter Act of 1853. It is also known as the company purely became as the company administrative body. Company purely became as the administrative body. Next Act of 1853. The main provisions or main features are there. The legislative and executive functions of the Governor General's Council were separate in this act, and 6 members were in Central Legislative Council, or 4 out of 6 members were appointed at the provisional government of Madras, Bombay, Bengal, and Agra, and it introduces a system of open competition to all the basis of the equipment of civil servants of the company. It is very important point at this act introducing open competition for all Indians for civil servants of this company, of British company. The first committee the first company, Macaulay Committee, was appointed in the year of 1854, belongs to the Civil Services or Open Competition Services Committee. In this competition, we are the first Indian joined to the civil services. Satyendranath Tagore was the first Indian civil servant to belongs to India. He belongs to India. And next one is Government of India Act of 1858. It belongs to the Crown Rule. The Crown Rule was starts after the complete of Sipai Mutiny in 1858. Then was the Crown Rule. Crown Rule was started. This act was for good government in India. The first statute enacted by the Parliament for the governance of India under the direct rule of the British government. They transferred the government territories and the revenues of the India from the East India Company to the British Crown or British Queen. In other words, the rule of company was replaced with the rule of Crown India. The powers of British Crown was the exercise the Secretary of the State in India. Thus, the Board of Control and Court of Directors were replaced by new office. The Government of India abolished the East India Company. British Crown assumed sovereignty. The Secretary of the State was named British Cabinet and was assigned by the India, having 15 members. The new position was called Secretary of the State for the created under the powers of the crown rule were exercised Secretariat of India. And the Secretary of State of the India was member of cabinet, and he is responsible to the British Parliament. It's very important. The powers of the British Crown were expressed the Secretary of the State. It also nothing but. And next one is the Indian Council Acts were came in from 1861. There are some important council acts are there. The first Indian Council Act of 1861. It introduced the for first time Indian representative in the institutions like viceroys, executive and legislative council, non-official. Three Indian internal legislative council. Legislative council were established in the center under provisions. And the Legislative Council for Bengal in 1862, it provides the Viceroy Executive Council should have some Indians as the non-official members while translating to the executive business. It according to the statutory recognition to the portfolio system. Portfolio system was introduced by Lord Canning in 1859, initiating the process of decentralization by restoring the legislative power to the Bombay and Madras provinces. Next one, Indian Councils Act of 1892. Between 1862 also Indian Council Act are there, but the Indian Council Act of 92 is very important. It introduced the principles of election, but in an indirect manner. The Governor General still had the power nomination even though the members were indirectly elected. Also, it engaged in the functions of legislative councils. I gave them a power discussing the budget and addressing questions to the executive. The main features of the Indian Council Act of 1892 were discussing about the what two were there. The Indian Council Act of 1892 for the increasing the number of members of central and provisional legislatures. Non-official members or provisional councils were not be nominated by local bodies such as municipal and council and district boards. Next one is the members of the council were given the right to ask questions on matters of public interest also. These things are the main features or main provisions under the Indian Council Act of 1892. And next one is Indian Council Act of 1909. It is nothing but it is also known as Minto-Morley reforms. Main reforms are very important point are the Minto-Morley reforms. Why has it called as Minto-Morley reforms? Minto was a viceroy of the country, or Morley was the secretary of the state. The two persons has formulated this act, the Indian Council Act of 1909. It changed the name Central Legislative Council, Imperial Legislative, and related the official majority in it. The provincial legislative councils, on the other hand, were allowed to have non-official majority. Apart from increasing the size of legislative council, the act also enlarged their deliberative functions. The act also introduced a system of communal representation for the Muslims by accepting the concept of separate electorate. The first Indian to join Indian Council Act. Indian Executive Councils is nothing but Satyendra Prasad Sinha, first Indian joined to the Viceroy's Executive Council. But there is the act also introducing the system of communal representation for the Muslims by accepting concept of separate electorate. And the point of the 1909 Act legalized communism. This act has a legalized communism, and Lord Minto came to become as the father of the communal electorate. And some futures are there. Non-official majority in provincial legislature, but not of elected ones. It provided for the Association of Indians with exercise to the Council of Viceroy and Governors. Satyendranath Prasad Sinha became as the first India Viceroy's Executive Council. He was appointed as the law member. First attempt of introducing representative and popular element. These members can discuss budget and more resolutions by supplementary questions, and can discuss matters of public interest also. These are the main acts are there became next in this session. We are discussing about next session